Hello and welcome. My name is Joni and I'm going to share my sketchbook journey with you. The end of April marks the year-end point. I've been sketchbooking regularly, at least most every week, but some weeks I did skip. Anyway, so this is a video about what I created in April, kind of the new supplies that I was working with in April specifically, what this journey over a year has taught me, kind of just for me personally. I thought I'd share with you in case it helps someone. So I started out the month by painting this sketchbook cover. This is my Strathmore mixed media, which is 100% cotton. I'm kind of over the putting the stickers on my covers thing, and now I paint my covers if I don't already have a sticker on it. So when I painted this cover, I used, which I often use, the Turner acrylic gouache. It's acrylic gouache, so it dries matte, which I really like, and then I can put other materials on top of it. So I started with this aqua blue. I've had this aqua blue probably 10 years, maybe a little over. So even though I squeezed and I shook the tube up, it had a lot of binder. So I ended up squeezing a big old dollop. And so I just used it all to create an underpainting that I would use later. You're going to see this blue for quite a little while for the month of April in my sketchbook. So I started with this because this is 100% cotton paper. I've talked about this in videos before. It's a little more precious than the other ones to me, and so I didn't use it other than to paint the cover. So this was the blue mixed with, I love this paint. It's Titanium Buff Light by Amsterdam. And I mixed this. It's a great mixing color. So you'll see some of it here. I used it for the nest. So while we're looking, I'm just going to talk about this right now. I bought all of these. I had an old tube of this from a long, long time ago. I love it so much. I made sure I got another paint. A lot of my supplies I purchased because I think we're going to see a big jump in May, just because of all the things. So I bought a lot of supplies that I thought I should have on hand. So this probably looks like it's all the same color. It's not to me. This is parchment. This is unbleached titanium, and this is Titanium Buff Light. So this has a slightly green cast, if I would say that, and this is a little bit darker than this. So I needed all of them. So those were new for April, and that's what I used for the cover. And then, because I had so much blue, what I did was I back painted this, and it's an underpainting. I mean, that's officially, but what I do is just paint the page with the leftover paint, and then I create stuff on top of it. So you're going to see varying degrees of this blue because of what's on top of it. It's going to look different. Like there's colored pencil on here. And then I put gouache, green grass, and I didn't like it. So then I came over with another acrylic gouache. This also had the blue background, but I painted, this is mostly acrylic gouache and colored pencil. So after a year, I've discovered, while I love watercolor, I love art supplies. So I have acrylic markers. I have alcohol markers. I went kind of crazy on them. I have like a bunch of watercolor paintbrushes. What it's come down to for most of the year is acrylic gouache, some acrylic, colored pencils in almost everything, and some ink. So I'll be sharing that ink with you later. But colored pencils I really, really love. And when I say colored pencils, so that's one jug. That's my Caran-d'Ache 6901. These are my Derwent drawing. These are my Derwent Light Fast. Oops, sorry for bumping. Those are my three favorite, most often used colored pencils, but I also have Holbein, Prismacolor Premier, the Polychromos. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more buckets of different colors. I group them together, so I'm very color particular. When I'm looking for a particular blue, then I just go to my blue bucket. I will always go to my light fast 6901s first because the consistency goes over a lot. I love the Derwent drawing. They're the creamiest and go over the most, but they also are kind of smudgy, which is why I put tissue paper in. And then I go to Derwent Light Fast, and then I go to my other colored pencils, unless I'm looking for a specific color that is, then I color trumps brand for me. So this is my Stillman & Burn Zeta. So this takes water media, but it does that. And also the watercolor sits funny on top of it. So it's not my favorite. I have one more new that I bought at the same time and I'll use it, but I don't think I'd purchase it again. It's just not my favorite. I did do, when I started this book, I did do watercolor. That's watercolor in the background. This is watercolor, but you can't get even washes and things like that. So the other color when I was making that nest were these browns. I had a couple of browns, and I tend to squeeze out too much paint. I just haven't figured that out yet. I'm a slow learner. So then I painted this background for this rabbit, and then I used ink to get some definition. And then I did this, which, oh, actually, I was going to get, and I forgot. I'm going to grab it real quick, since it should be relatively easy to find. It's not. Oh, here it is. I got this. It's called The Pinkest Pink. I saw another artist. I don't remember what she goes by, redheaded artist or something like that. And she was doing a landscape, and she did an underpainting in this hot pink. And it's from, oh, I don't remember. I'll put it down in the description. It's an actual artist that creates this pigment, but it's this super saturated pink. And then I created my own mix of oxgall, honey, and gum arabic. So it's just this mixture that I put in with the pigment, and I made my own watercolor paint from that. So that was something new to me in April. And I did the pink underpainting here, and then I did gouache and colored pencil on top. And I actually really, really enjoyed this, to the degree that I love these golden, they're high flow acrylic. So they're acrylic, so when they dry, they stay on the base. They don't move around like gouache. But they're really thin. Like you can hear them. They're much thinner than regular acrylic. So it's like ink. I use these like ink. So I like this hot pink so much, I went and bought this fluorescent pink. I also see April of Monkey Mintaka making a lot of art with this. So I haven't used it, but I'm excited about using it. And I think that was it for the Stillman & Burn Zeta. So this blue is the same blue. Like you're going to see this blue on all of the beginning artworks for April, I think. Oh, the butterfly was the first one. I actually mixed it with some white to tone it down for the background of the butterfly. And then I kind of left it. I think I went over with something, colored pencil or soft pastel or something. There's something in the background here, and I think I sprayed this. And then So actually, I probably should have showed this sketchbook. This is a Royal Talons art creation sketchbook. It's the little one. And this started the journey with me. I started back in April of 2025. This has come the full year. This is how much I filled it in a year because I used so many sketchbooks. So that was another lesson that I learned, that sometimes I'm using 9 sketchbooks, sometimes I'm using 7 sketchbooks. It's a little much. I was testing out all the papers, testing the materials all across, and in a year I have decided for my daily sketchbook practice, I really like this ivory tone paper in the Royal Talons, and then when I want white paper, I will go to my Canson Art Graduate, which I will show you. But I decided that for me, I'm going to put away some of my sketchbooks at like starting for May. I'm going to reduce it down to like 4 or 5 that I'm using consistently instead of 7 or 9. So this will be one of the ones I am using because I can either get a little portrait layout like this, or my favorite format is kind of this squarish format. I guess that would be a rectangle, square-ish, right? So I'm going to use this more, and I started practicing that late April and worked consistently in this one, and it's worked out beautifully for me. I also, one of my new supplies for April is this White Nights, the broom series. So this is morning broom, mountain broom, evening broom, forest broom. So if I get it up close, I hope you can see, these are the colors separating if you add a lot of water. So I want to use these for animals and landscapes. So I'm really excited about this. So this was just a test swatch, and I wish I would have used more water. I did want to see what it looked like undiluted, but then I wish I would have dropped some more water in here to get a few more effects. And then I did a little fairy ring, and this was, pretty sure it's gouache. And then there was this little poem that I found, and I wrote it out, and it looked really messy and too big, so I redid it on paper and scotch taped it in, double-sided tape, because I just wanted it to look neater. I wanted it to be a happy page when I came across it. And then I was like, oh, I really love my colored pencil. I want to do some just colored pencil drawings. So I did this. It's a coyote. All the animals always end up having some characteristic of my dog Ella. So even my bear that I'm going to show you next has a little bit of Ella. So it's a coyote, but Ella is a white husky lab mix. And anyway, I really enjoyed the colored pencil. So I did this bear in colored pencil. It's all colored pencil. There's nothing else on it. And so because colored pencil, again, tends to smear, smudge, I always put the tissues in. I pretty much always put the tissues in as I turn the page and there's no tissue. This was, I decided I wanted to, so that's how easily I get bored. I did colored pencil and I'm like, okay, and now I want to do something brighter. So I started testing putting down the acrylic gouache first, and then using ink to create patterns, and then coming over with these tube gouaches again. That's the light color here. So the ink that I use tends to be this. This is a gray, this sketch ink, but the color I most often use is Frida. It's this dark blue that almost looks black. So those are the inks that I used for this. And then I was like, oh, I really like repetitive patterns, this idea. And so I started creating these flowers. Same idea. Acrylic gouache in the background. This is cobalt blue. I don't remember what color that is because I was switching back and forth on what I wanted, but it does have colored pencil on top. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you can sort of see it's a lighter gold here, and then I came over with like a burnt sienna kind of color. This is, I use Daler-Rowney FW, this white acrylic ink for the white patterns that I use. And yeah, I really enjoyed these, so I wanted to continue the process. So I also used, this is acrylic gouache Turner Aubergine in the background. And then I came over with my white acrylic ink, used some, believe it or not, indigo colored pencil. I tried a different color first, didn't really think it added enough contrast, and then came back over. But also this here, I used this alizarin crimson hue, the fluid acrylic, over the other acrylic gouache. So I don't, you can see the difference. There's the aubergine, and then that's with that. So yeah, and that was, so I ended up doing all these pages in this sketchbook because I just wanted to be more consistent through a sketchbook and see how that worked for me. And I really liked it, and I'm going to continue to do it. So this is going to stay in circulation for May. This was more that blue, again, mixed in with the parchment in the background. I had a thing about nests and all of that kind of thing. I'm finding this landscape formula. I don't paint in landscape very much. This is a Canson art graduate. I think I tore the page out that had all the, it's a mixed media book. I have it in different formats. I have a large format, like I think it's a 9x12. This is also going to go out of circulation for May. I just don't use it that much. I started this one in November 2025, and I've done like 3 pages. So this, while I love these, I'm really happy with these. Same thing. This one was more colored pencil, and I think I watered down the background more. Either that or I did use watered down gouache, not sure. But this will also move out of circulation for the month of May. This one, I guess I'll do this one next, because this one is another one. While this is, I started this actually on March 30th of 2025. This is the sketchbook that I have used most often, most regularly. It's the least intimidating sketchbook. It's been the easiest just to pick up and not worry about so much what I'm creating. But at this point, it feels too small for me. And while I enjoyed it for April, I am going to be moving it out of rotation. So this is colored pencil and pastel. And the same blue, it was another of those blue backgrounds. You can sort of see it neutralized down there as well. And then this is the blue at its full strength. I just made a circle and then did a little ink and colored pencil on top of it. And it's hard for me to give up this sketchbook because it's not intimidating at all. While this piece may not look like much to anybody else, I did one of those crazy backgrounds like I did with the rabbit with the brown, and then I negative painted around it in gouache to create this stump. This is actually one of my favorite pieces that I've done, particularly in April. But so because I don't worry, I just am really free to create, and then I end up creating things I like. So it's going to be hard to move it out, but again, I only, this doing just a couple of pages in each book. So this is an art creation sketchbook as well. Then this is kind of my, I'm going to focus more on using this. If you watched my March walkthrough, you'll see that I went on a big spending spree for Addison and Sedgwick. I bought these in April, actually the very end of March, I guess. And then I was kind of I'm like, oh, it's April, it's Easter-ish, it's spring, I'll just do eggs and stuff like that. But look, so this is the thing about being neurodivergent and finding a new, like, they don't call it a hyperfixation as much anymore. Special interest. It was my new special interest. So, did the blue background and then did colored pencil and stuff to knock it back. I really like this little dandelion too. Did the blue on that. That was mid-month I did that. Wasn't thrilled with that. And so when I create a piece, I don't really, I'm torn because I really like looking at this and I don't like looking at this so much. So I didn't use my book again. But this is the one that I'm hoping to scale up to in place of that little square one, because again, I can do, the cross page layout, and I need to start working bigger so that I can create more detail. So this is going to be a focus for me. So that one's staying in. And then this is the Canson graduate I was talking about. So I really like this paper when I'm looking for white paper. Again, none of these sketchbooks are watercolor sketchbooks. Can you use watercolor? You can if you're using them in an illustrative style. You can use gouache. I have a lot of these in the beginning were kind of, just, that's gouache. I made stickers out of that. It takes a lot of media. This is pastels. This is a mixed piece of gouache and colored pencil. So all I did in it for April was this swallow, which I think actually is my best piece for April. It started out with that same blue background, and I'm like, what if I just said it was sky? And I've always been wanting to paint a swallow, so I did. So acrylic gouache, and colored pencil. This book will stay in rotation. The reason I don't use this book, here's another thing. When I run experiments, because of my neurosaucy brain, I try a lot of experiments. And I started this one from the back because I'm like, oh, what if I started from the back, I didn't have that first page syndrome. So I started it from the back and went through. I won't do that anymore. I don't like it. And so now, I have a dilemma because I finally got them all going in chronological order. And if I'm going to continue to use this, which I am, because I really like it, I have to keep going from the back forwards, which is not my favorite anymore. So this one will stay in rotation. I have considered starting from the front now and moving back because there isn't that much that I've already done. But for me, that's sort of anxiety inducing. So this will stay in rotation, and I haven't decided which way I'm going to work that yet. Then the other things that I did, because I really enjoyed the process of the acrylic gouache, the ink, and then coming back and kind of painting most of it with the acrylic, I created some ACEOs. So I did a couple of the blue, and then this was the last one. I decided to try to do I don't want to say normal, but yeah, closer to normal botanical to see how that would work. So these are the same materials that I used in my sketchbook on watercolor paper, and then I'm putting them up for sale in my Etsy shop. So another thing that I bought, and I know this is so I have this local upscale shop called Art Parts, and it's wonderful. I go and buy, they have used brushes, they have used paints, they have papers, that it's just this local recycling center, but focused on art. And they have from child to professional artists. So they'll have a bunch of painted canvases that you can buy and then repaint over and stuff like that. They also were selling tiles. And this is a porcelain tile. It is Spain. It was made in Spain. So I originally got it. I thought, oh, this would be a nice little watercolor palette, a little mixing palette. But what I found, I don't like normal brush holders because I don't like the tilt. I don't want the water going into the ferrule. So this is perfect for like all my favorite brushes. And so this is the dip pen I use. It's nothing fancy. That's my favorite tip. Couldn't tell you what it is at all. Same with my brushes. I mean, this one came with the Turner acrylic wash. I got a set. I have 2 acrylic washes. I have Turner acrylic wash, or acrylic wash, and Holbein acrylic wash. I like them both. The color range in this is superior. The quality of Holbein is a little bit better, but for my sketchbook, I don't care. I love these little brushes. This is a Creative Mark number 2 round. I love the tips on these brushes. I don't know, I like them so much I ended up buying like 5 of them because that's what I do. I've since given a couple to my daughter Ashley, who is also an artist. Anyway, they're my favorite for small detail. This is a Royal and Langnickel number 8 flat. I predominantly use this for these to get around, paint the big areas, and then I use this is a Da Vinci synthetic number 4. I use this to get into the small spaces. So, but I love this tile. So I think that wraps up. I'm just going to put these out here just to talk about the final wrap up. I think I talked about all the supplies that were mainly in use for April. My journey over the course of a year. Did my art improve? Debatable. Did I get closer to my own personal style that I really enjoy doing? Yes. Did I absolutely just adore the process of using different materials and finding out which ones really work for me and my style? And also now, right, because my special interest shifts a little bit with art supplies, because I have so many, I can just still keep doing art because I have acrylic wash, I have acrylic, I have ink, you know, and I know not everyone has access to those things, but get them where you find them. You know, like what I do in this upscale shop, they'll have acrylic inks for, you know, $3. They'll have a little tube of paint for $1. I make sure that it's still, you know, I'll make sure it's not all dried up. Collect it as you go. That's what I've done. And then pretty soon after, 10 years, you have pretty much what you want. So I'm just here to encourage you to experiment. If you're like me, my sketchbook doesn't look like other sketchbooks. Your sketchbook should reflect you and your style and how you like to do things. And it doesn't matter what that looks like. If you want all pencil, if you want all charcoal, if you want it messy, this idea that these are all what my experiments look like. This is how I experiment. Not everything turns out great. Some does, it's good enough to make a sticker out of. For March and April, I decided I was going to create art that I was not planning on monetizing in any way. So that freed me up. It liberated me from trying to create something finished. So I highly recommend that too. Now for May, I may go back to trying to create some things I can monetize because it's nice. Money is nice. I like it very much. And also, I'm always going to want, there's more materials, even though, in April, I didn't use my Caran d'Arche Neocolor 2s. I love them. I want more of them. I didn't use my 6901, I forget what they're called. They're the wax oil pastels. Neo Arts, I think is what it's called. I want more of those. Didn't use my pastels except for once. I don't care. I still want my pastels to use. I'll probably wait till it's 100 degrees in summer and then decide to use them. Anyway, I'm kind of just babbling now. So I hope I introduced you to maybe some new possibilities and encouraged you to create your own art. After a year, I love it. This is the longest I've ever stayed within an art. I dabbled before. I've never had any training. I didn't really have art, did take art in high school or anything like that. Besides, I was born in 1958, so basically art in grammar school was like cotton balls on paper plates. Anyway, that's to say, you don't have to have formal training. You don't have to know how to use the materials necessarily. You will learn. And if you create in a sketchbook, it doesn't matter how light fast it is because most of the time it's closed. I have things like these fluorescent pink things. They don't scan well. They don't photograph well. It doesn't matter to me. It's pleasing for me to look at, and it's in my sketchbook. I have painted swatches that I painted, again, about 10 years ago, and they're still vivid pink. So I don't worry about all that. In sketchbooks, you don't have to worry about all that. And then if you make a great piece of art and you want to reproduce it into a print or a sticker, great. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate you subscribing to my channel, leaving comments. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I'll check. And I guess I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.